All right, welcome back to the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. Pretty big news day in college football. The last 24 hours have been fairly interesting when it comes down to um, the college football landscape. If you're watching this for the first time, hit that like and subscribe button. Help us grow this channel. That will be the best thing for us. It's better than money. So, with that being said, we'll get right into it. Right here, Michigan is going to appeal the fine. They're going to appeal pretty much everything leading up to this. It's been I don't know how you want to describe the all of the Michigan stuff that has happened. Um, it's one of those things that a lot of people were out there doing a lot of the hype train stuff. We kind of fell into that a little bit. It was one of those things that I think that some people needed to get some more accurate um, reporting on it. I think that when it comes down to it, people in the Ohio State land and the Michigan State side of things are not happy, which I get that. But at the end of the day, you have to look at it as the NCAA can only do so much. If you look at the recent court cases, they can't even get eligibility right. You have guys that are on the fence, on the just absolutely on the fence about whether they're eligible. Does JUCO count? Does anything count anymore? Pretty much the NCAA punted the package to a certain extent to where they pretty much folded in their tent, and I wouldn't say that they're going to close down shop, but I mean that's pretty much where it's almost to the point of they can't really enforce anything um, other than maybe the transfer portal. But the Michigan stuff, one of the big things for me is I'm just glad it's over. Um, I'm not shocked that they released it when they did. They gave Sharon Moore uh, one extra game. He can't go to Germany and coach, which whatever. But I just think that it's one of those things that I don't think really even wanted to fight it. But it says Michigan is going to appeal everything. So I think you can take that for what it's worth. Whether they appeal everything or not, I don't think it matters at this point, just for the simple fact of it's very I'm not mad, upset, or they did what they did, and this is the punishment that they got. So I mean, people can either take it, they can like it or lump it, but that's pretty much what it is. There's nothing more that's really going to come about it, in my opinion. I know some Ohio State and Michigan people or Michigan State people are going to be pissed off about it, but there's no point in getting mad about something that you literally have no control over. And also the simple fact is that there's been publications and outlets out there that have produced all kinds of stuff. It's it's whatever. Some people have a hard time admitting when they're wrong. Um, we jumped on the and Sid pops in here with still don't respect Michigan. I mean, that's fine. A lot of people have a lot of opinions on it, but at the end of the day, the NCAA doled out what they doled out. They are the judge, jury, and executioner to a certain extent. And I think the NCAA gave them what they gave them just for the simple fact of they don't want to tie this up in court for X amount of years. I know that's going to really upset some people, or some people are going to have their opinions about it, but that's just what it is. There was no proverbial hammer, in my opinion, that came out of this. So at that point, whether you agree with the punishment or you disagree with the punishment, it is what it is. They're still going to play football, and that's just what it is. Just be consistent with your punishments. I understand that, but also if you look back to where college football is now, if you turn back the clock 10 years, the players weren't getting paid. And I'm not Sid's got another one here. Indy lost 21 games for a paper. Yeah, I get it. But also, the kids back then weren't getting NIL. This is a new day and age. After the NCAA pretty much lost control was when NIL came about. That's when they pretty much lost control. Whether you agree that they cheated or whatnot, it is what it is. There's no more debating this. Some people can pull out the NCAA. Just seems like F it and cheat. Well, I get where people are upset about it, but it doesn't really change the fact of the punishment. Did I want to see Michigan get punished to a certain extent? Well, kind of, but to the other end of the coin, there's no more recourse. This is over. Some people have staked their whole brands on it, and did I get swept up and carried away with it and think that everything that was happening was real? But lose games, yeah, but they're not playing that game no more. They're not vacating stuff, in which I think it turns into a winded up legal web at that point. But do I think that they'll get something out of it? I mean, the vast majority of the country, because I talk to people all over the country, most people were tired of hearing about this, did not care to a certain extent. I think at a certain point, Tony Batiti and them, they suspended Harbaugh, and also the Connor Stallions 8-year show cause, whatever. I don't think it matters at all unless somebody's going to try to hire him. It makes me love college football less. Well, here's one of the things on that. For somebody that kind of talks to some of the people in the know, this Michigan thing, I mean, you have the Tennessee thing, you had the stuff that happened at Ole Miss. That's just what it is. I don't think anybody was questioning that college football is down. I mean, for years, Michigan and Ohio State couldn't recruit in the South because of alleged under the table money. Now it's all above board. That's just what it is. And I get it, everybody's got a certain set of rules that they do need to follow, but where we're at in college football, what exactly are the rules? There are none. I mean, they have this Deloitte thing, which I think it's going to get sued into oblivion, but Michigan is going to pay the fine, and maybe they'll pay the fine, maybe they won't. But I think every other team that got sanctioned or had things taken away should be filing lawsuits, in my opinion. But will they? I don't know. I'm not the one that decides any of that. But there's things that are just out of people's control. College football is close to dead. I don't know about that. I mean, have you seen the TV ratings? They're through the roof. The Big Ten's paying, or Fox is paying the Big Ten $7 billion. I just, I just don't think that. I mean, people can get upset about this set of rules and everything, but at a certain degree here, at a certain degree, I don't think that where college football's at. I know a lot of coaches don't like the NIL stuff, but at a at a at a certain point, there's nothing really you can do to stop it with all the money that's being exchanged. I mean, $20 million is a drop in a bucket now to some universities at the Group of Five level, and maybe at the ACC level, maybe the Big 12 level. That's a pretty big strain on them, and I get that. But when you look at it, the SEC and the Big Ten are playing kind of by a different set of rules because, with the 12-team playoff, they're probably going to get four teams apiece, maybe two from the ACC if they have a 1-11. I agree with you, Sid. It's NFL 2.0, but that's just what it is, and that is where I'm at on it. And at a certain point, I think you just gotta let the sleeping dog lie. At that point, times change. Yes, they do. That is what happens in the modern college football era. I mean, if you look at the past national champions, there's never been a small school to really win a national championship ever, besides BYU in '84. And BYU kind of wasn't small at that point. I mean, you had Pitt in '76, but outside of that, it's just major college football brands. Michigan State in '65. But I mean, Michigan State's been totally relevant. Uh, I would say Army in '45, but after that, it's a lot of Notre Dame, Tennessee, just major schools. So that's just what it is. And I know people don't like it, but that's what the ruling is. Michigan's going to appeal it. Who knows what's going to happen? But that's just kind of where we're at, though. Um, as far as the college football thing, but that's kind of what it is. I'm just caring less and less each year. I get it, Sid, but that's what major college football is now. And not to rub salt in the wound, but this was something that came out. JJ McCarthy didn't wear eye black against Ohio State because he wanted Ryan Day to see his face when he kicked his ass. That's what the Ohio State Michigan rivalry is all about. That's what it is, and that's just kind of where it's at. And I think it's very telling that a lot of the national media people didn't jump on this story sooner than what they did. I think that we jumped on it when it was hot. It was big. It was a big talking point in where I live, and that's just what it is. And so as far as that goes, I think that for the most part, Michigan kind of gets out scot-free to a certain extent. And, they changed the rules, they put in helmet comms. That's also another part of this. So I think that for the people that are pissed off and bitching about it, well, you had one certain publications out there that pretty much sold you a bill of goods, and that's just what it is. Michigan fans are so proud of cheating, so typical. Well, I don't know if they're proud of it, but I mean, they got to keep their national championship, so that's what it is. And I think the Michigan saga is what it is, and pretty much at this point, I'm going to throw dirt on it and say it's dead and buried, and it's kind of irrelevant to a certain extent. I mean, people want to bring it up and drudge it up, but I mean, it is what it is. They gave the ruling. It's just like if somebody gets arrested and they get a not guilty plea, it's what it is. So Sid says, just hope for some karma for Michigan. Not sorry. Well, we'll see. We'll see where it pans out. See what this appeal, what comes of it. Who knows? Some people have said, I know Justin Spiro said that there's more evidence out there that they didn't look at. But also, I think the NCAA, and this is furthermore to the point, I think they're in a very fragile state because the Big Ten and the SEC, I think at some point, 2032, they're going to whack up the ACC. The Big 12 is going to take some teams. The Big Ten will probably take some teams, and the SEC will have a pick of their litter. And they just they'll break away and create their own thing and be under their own set of rules and probably have a commissioner, and it'll kind of be college football. But that's just like when people freaked out. 2032, Sid, is when I think the big big breakaway will happen, because that's when everybody's TV deals are up. And I think that the other conferences will whack up the teams and they'll take who they want. And I think the group of five is kind of in limbo to a certain extent, which I think that they should just have their own playoff and it do what it do. That's just my opinion. But anyway, we'll get to some of the other topics that are on ESPN.com. Will the NCAA be defunct? No, because they still have college basketball. There's a lot to sort out with that, and also Title IX. That's the big question in the room. How do you deal with Title IX? So we'll see how that shakes out. But some of the other stuff on ESPN.com, Indiana's Moore wins his court case. So we'll see about that. The transfer, I believe, gave him a temporary restraining order. We'll see see how that bears fruit. I gotta get this figured out. I just think that we'll see what the NCAA comes up with, but for the most part, I think they're kind of in trouble, big time. Just my opinion, but some of the comment here: USC's O-line still waiting the decision if he's eligible. Season is 16 days away. Yeah, I know. That's pretty much what college football is now. It's just interesting. some of the other things, interesting notes that came out over the weekend. Ole Miss's defensive coordinator Pete Golding signs a three-year, uh, 2.61 million. It makes him the second highest uh, paid coordinator in college football, so that's of note. Um, Kansas gets their hefty $300 million endowment, so that's where we're at there. And then also, if you're checking out this content for the first time, hit that like and subscribe button. Help us grow this channel. Uh, we're going to be live on Saturdays doing watch parties and doing all that fun stuff. And it'll probably be for the majority of the big games only. I know week one we're doing Ohio State, Texas, and also I'll have Tennessee on a side TV. Ohio State, Texas will be the main one. 3:30 Florida State, Alabama, and then the showdown in Death Valley, Clemson, LSU. We'll have that live, and then we will be doing the Big Ten doubleheader after dark because the Pac-12 is defunct. Yeah, I'm going to be on stream all day. I decided to do it, so push the chips to the middle of the table, but the ESPN.com's got the AP all first team offense. Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald as the wideouts, Orlando Pace of note, John Hanna, Jim Parker, Tebow is the quarterback, Barry Sanders, Herschel Walker, just going over the big names there. But yeah, they on ESPN.com they release their all-time AP team. If you're into that, also they have a thing that they're changing rules for the fake injury crackdowns. Yeah, Tebow is the all-time quarterback. I don't know about that, but I could think of a handful of guys that were better than Tebow. Then Tennessee Tech leaving the OVC for the Southern Conference of note in 2026, if anybody cares about that. But yeah, they're going to crack down on fake injuries. So no Tim Brown. Yeah, I know. It was Fitzgerald and Larry Fitzgerald and Randy Moss. It's a tough argument. You're kind of splitting hairs there, in my opinion, but that's kind of where we're at. That's what the mainstream's got going on. So that's kind of what it is. But in some other notes, I did see where the red zone that I think ESPN is going to launch, that's a copycat of the NFL, since the NFL has leased the rights to that for college football. I think they're going to do that. I don't know how well ESPN is going to maintain the integrity of the old school red zone, but we'll see. But it says likely Fox is not to release their games to ESPN to be viewed on the red zone. That is a typical Fox News. They like to thumb their nose at everybody and play their big games at noon. That's why Texas and Oklahoma are in the SEC. I think at some point, I want to say I don't think the Big Ten is going to re-up their deal with Fox. I think they're going to try their hand with ESPN and see if they'll pay for it. And then I don't know, unless another TV provider pops out, I could see Amazon jumping in the boat with college athletics. So that'll surely upset some people, but you got the Amazon angle. Also, NBC could buy more of a chunk, and CBS could buy more of a chunk, because I think that NBC does a great job at producing Sunday Night Football. I think all their telecasts have been fairly decent. So there is that. And then also a Notre Dame nugget here, even though Carter hasn't been on the show. Some reports coming out by On3 that Kenny Minchie has a slight edge as being the starting quarterback at Notre Dame. I think that where we're at on that, I think it's going to be a wait and see. I don't think Marcus is he might not announce a starter. I think it might be whoever runs out on the field week 1 against Miami. So I think that's kind of where we're at on that. And then a couple Tennessee notes here before I get back to the graphics. I wouldn't announce it until August 31st. That might be in the total complete cards there. I think that's might be what happens. Tennessee looks like they're going to start Joey Aguilar. I find that very interesting. Sid says it makes fans mad. Yeah, because they want to know who the guy is. But with anything, the last couple of years, if you looked at the major universities about the starting quarterback thing, they have to keep people engaged because the guy backing up is probably better than the number 3. So you got to keep people engaged, and you can't be having kids jump into the transfer portal before the season even starts. So that's just the world we live in college football now. So, but Tennessee looks like they're going to start Joey Aguilar. On3 reported that. I believe it was Pete Nakos. Just a very interesting note there. I guess we'll see what Joey Aguilar's got. I think the one thing that Vegas has wrong is I think they have the Syracuse game wrong for Tennessee. And I'm not going to underestimate Fran Brown in Syracuse here. I think that at some point, if Syracuse and Fran Brown go out there and pull off a win on the what I believe it's like the Chick-fil-A kickoff or something. I believe it's in Georgia. That's where that game's being played at. I think, if you're a Syracuse fan, you got to be down there and be in full throat. I think Angeli's going to start at Syracuse. I really do believe that. And then Fran Brown signed a 5-star at Syracuse not signed, but he's got one committed. So I think it's very interesting to see how Fran Brown transformed Syracuse into a more respectable program. I mean, they have great history and tradition, but they haven't had it in a while. Dino Babers almost had it turned around, and then he had that one bad season, and they unfortunately got rid of him. But they hired Fran Brown, and we'll see what Fran can do here. It's going to be highly entertaining. I think that Syracuse being a 14-point dog on the road is no joke. I think it's going to be a pro-Tennessee crowd. Going to be a lot of orange in Georgia. If Fran Brown wins 10 games, he'll be plucked by a bigger school. Yeah, but also with all this rev share stuff, you got to remember that no Big Ten jobs and no SEC jobs, I think, came open in the last coaching cycle. Except, Purdue. Purdue came open. Barry Odom, the new guy at Purdue. But in the two big conferences, only one job came up. So that's that. But also on the Tennessee front, Tennessee did something really interesting. I found it to be interesting that they signed with Adidas. Yes, $20 million for them at Adidas. I think that is a interesting plot twist. I didn't see that out of Tennessee to jump from Nike so quickly, but I would have thought that they would have would have stuck it out with Nike, but Adidas came in with that bag. But also, that's another big thing too that comes into this, um, especially with them jumping back to Adidas. Adidas dropped major money, and it's kind of unbelievable, really. I think Tennessee is the top highest paid Adidas school. So we'll see. Also, I'm sure Nike was real thrilled that Adidas dropped $20 million, because what's Alabama's merchandise worth? What's Georgia's merchandise worth? What's a handful? You pick the brand or you pick the school. What are they worth if Tennessee's worth 20 million? What's Ohio State worth to Nike? Just wanted to throw that out there, but that's pretty much all I got on the side notes as I was thumbing through some things this morning. But we will go to Florida, which they're a Jordan Brand school. Coming down to Florida here, Florida's got Hayes Fawcett on 3 put this out. They got number 1 Texas, number 5 Georgia, 9 LSU, Miami, A&M, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. The thing that I think helps Florida the most is Texas has got to come to town. Georgia's a neutral site game. They got to go on the road to Baton Rouge. And I've heard some grumblings. LSU could end up in the first 3 weeks with 2 losses, and that's not good for Brian Kelly. I believe they got to go on the road to Miami. They got to go to A&M, to Ole Miss, and Tennessee comes to town. They got 7 ranked opponents there, so that's something to keep an eye on Florida's schedule. They have their schedule is not the easiest, but we'll go to this one here. CBS Sports put it out that preseason freshman Bryce Underwood is going to be freshman of the year. I think that's a pretty bold prediction. We got to see. You're going to find out everything you need to know about Michigan and Bryce Underwood. I might have misspoke and called him Bryce Young, but you're going to be able to find out everything you need to know about him. I believe it's week 3 on the road in Norman, Oklahoma. That's the big test right there for Michigan. And then at the end of the year with Ohio State. I haven't really looked at Michigan's schedule too hard, but that's just something to keep in mind. Also, we'll keep it moving. The head coach category, I find this very interesting. Brett Venables ends up on the hot seat. Kirby Smart, best overall, recruiting, development, Kirk Ferentz, consistent Dabo, offense, Ryan Day, defense, Kirby, overrated, Lincoln Riley. Lincoln getting no love this offseason. Underrated, the fella up at Army. Clutch, Kalen DeBoer, choker, James Franklin liked and hated. I think all those guys bring very interesting traits. Yeah, the James Franklin stuff is just wild. James did not have, I don't think, a very, very good offseason, just in my estimation, in my opinion. But that's where we're at. Deion Sanders being hated, I'm not shocked by that. That's just kind of what comes with the territory, with him being so loud and boisterous and bullish on his team out there in Colorado. That is just something to be said there. What will Colorado be this year without Shador? Colorado's got a lot of questions to answer, so we'll see. I'm not going to give I haven't really looked at their schedule because you don't really know, because of Colorado has done the transfer portal thing, and we'll see how well that worked out. Hopefully it's not a Florida State like last year, but here is another Carson Beck tidbit. Uh, all of the Georgia insiders are like getting rid of Carson Beck is the best thing that ever happened to this program. That was Bud Elliott's thing. Um, I did see something to where they said that um, uh, Miami's offensive coordinator, I cannot think of his name right now. Miami's offensive coordinator said that they think they have another first round draft pick at quarterback. Well, we'll see, but Carson Beck was the preseason favorite to win the Heisman last year, and we kind of know how that turned out for Georgia. It was kind of a that I'm with you, Sid. A just we'll see. That's kind of where I'm at with a lot of it. I'm so happy this is the last week of the off season. Um, I just, you know, just happy it's the last week of the off season. Then we kick it off with Farmageddon, which we'll be live for. We're gonna do the Kansas State Iowa State game. I think we'll do some of UNLV Idaho State unless it turns into a blowout, and then we might jump back on for Stanford Hawaii. Just if you want a little bit of an alternative broadcast. Do I have any personal opinion of Carr or Minchie? My thing for Marcus Freeman on the Carr Minchie thing is you better start the guy who takes care of the football and the guy that best suits pushing the ball down the field, because at times last year Notre Dame really kind of struggled when they played equal to talent running the football a little bit. Like Riley Leonard killed Navy, killed Army, um, just because the athletes weren't similar. But the Penn State game, Notre Dame struggled to run the ball. I get it. Jeremiah Love was banged up, but also Texas A&M. You go look at the Ohio State game. They need explosive plays on the outside. And before the season, me and Carter even talked about the whole Bo Collins thing, not to dredge up old memories, but the Notre Dame beat was going wild about Bo Collins. This guy is this, and this. Well, he ended up with the same numbers that he did at Clemson. Was that on Riley Leonard? I don't know, but Riley had, it seemed like at times he was struggling to throw the ball down the field. So we'll see on that. But outside of that, you got Greathouse coming back. I think that to a certain extent, if Notre Dame can get the ball pushed down the field, it will definitely free up the run game and it'll let Jeremiah Love eat in a big way. I'm not saying it's going to be Ashton Genty numbers, but he may have better numbers than what he did last year, as long as he stays healthy. And also the offensive line, Joe Rudolph has got to get those guys in tip-top shape, not be riding ATVs. I'm just sorry. I'm not going to let that one go. There's no excuse for that being this close to the season started. That's 2 years in a row. I get it. Jagasol got hurt last year, and now he's going to miss more time this year. So, I mean, whenever you go back and look at it, that was the big knock last year, that Notre Dame was banged up on the offensive line. Well, you've banged yourself up on the offensive line before the season even started. I know some people are not going to like that opinion, but you got to stop the self-inflicted injuries, in my simple opinion. But we're at the end of the second segment, but if you're tuning in for the first time and just now seeing this, if you like this content, hit that like and subscribe button. Help us grow this thing. We're going to be live also tonight, streaming on Steel City. That's the other show on this channel. We're going to be doing the Buccaneers Steelers game. We'll be live for that. I believe Richie's going to hop in at some point as well. So we'll see what that brings. Hopefully it's a close competitive game like it was last week against Jacksonville, but also the big money ticket item on this platform is going to be the college football uh, watch parties, live streams, what you want to call them, throughout the day. If you're wanting an alternative broadcast, if you got to watch college football alone and you want to talk amongst the other folks, that's just something we're going to be doing on this channel. So, with that being said, hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this channel. Something else I found very interesting out there that Hayes Fawcett put out from 2023, 3 out of the 4 top 4 receivers transferred, and the other one, the Oregon kid, is suspended indefinitely. Dan Lanning said that we need some time away from him and he needs some time away from us. So we'll see how that turns out. But, with this new day and age and the transfer portal, this is really what we're looking at here. It's kind of interesting that, the receivers having not fitting in or wasn't the right fit when they picked that school out of high school. There's a caveat of issues. There's a lot that goes into it, but sometimes going at the going to the highest bidder is not always the best thing. I think that some people have buyer's remorse after they get a big bag of money and then they realize, hey, I don't really like it here. It was cool in the beginning. Now this coach is yelling at me. It was all rainbows, butterflies, and My Little Ponies at the beginning. But at the end of the day, I think when it comes down to college choice, kids are going to do what they're going to do. And if they're going to leave, you have the whole parent angle. You have a lot of angles that go into these college decisions, in my opinion. But that's just kind of where we're at. We'll go here to this graphic. The best player from each top 10 team, Arch Manning. We'll see. There's a lot of pressure on Arch Manning. I just can't believe that. But Arch Manning's got a lot of pressure on him. I think Jeremiah Love has a lot of pressure on him. Jeremiah Smith, very, very interesting thing. It's kind of quarterback heavy, with Nussmeier, Klubnik, Arch Manning. I was kind of shocked that, this is RJ Young's graphic, but I think the kid that has the most pressure on him on this graphic, I'll give you 2. I think that outside of Arch Manning, I think the 2 on this is Cade Klubnik and Garrett Nussmeier. Nussmeier dealing with the apparent knee injury, I guess, whatever they want to call it. There's been all kinds of wild reports. The message boards are on fire. It's just something that, when you have an injury like this and you have everything locked up like Fort Knox, you can't not expect something like this to happen. But I think Cade Klubnik, for NFL draft stock wise, he's got to go out there and play really well. I know some people are sold on him and other people aren't. So I think Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik have the most to prove because, LSU season didn't end up the way they wanted it to last year. That's just kind of a fact. Same thing with Clemson. They kind of got boat raced a little bit at Texas. But Clemson being ranked as high as they are, I think Clemson is better on both sides of the ball this year because I feel like they were kind of young. I got to see Cade Klubnik last year in person at the Pitt game. I don't think he played bad, but he didn't play great. So we'll see on that. That's just some of the guys. And then the Arch Manning thing, I think that's a ton of that is just name pressure. To be honest with you, name pressure. We'll go to the most valuable schools on this list. The top 25 most valuable schools: Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Alabama. If you look at this graphic, is anybody shocked? Although I'm kind of shocked that Oregon's not quite $1 billion, and the same thing with Texas A&M. I'm shocked to see Washington as high as they are. Wisconsin, Iowa, but a lot of those schools that are in those kind of rural areas, like Nebraska has no professional sports team, Iowa no professional sports team, um, Washington, they used to have the Supersonics, but now they got the Kraken and Seahawks. Michigan up there in East Lansing, Michigan State anyway, they generate, a lot of revenue. Ole Miss, no professional sports team. Same thing with Arkansas too. Uh, but Florida State being down there at Tallahassee, Auburn and Alabama, and Alabama especially, no state with a professional sports team. Um, so I think that's a very interesting ranking on this. Tennessee, and being in Knoxville, I think whenever you think Tennessee, you think the Vols. You don't think the Titans. That's just kind of what that is. Same thing with LSU, the Bayou Bengals. They're really the only ticket in town, to be honest. So that is a very interesting uh, comp there, to be honest. So we'll get that out of there, and then we'll go to the final graphic of the day. If you made it this far in the show, hopefully you've subscribed by now. But like I said, we'll be doing the live streams and all that fun stuff. But this is last graphic, and then here shortly we'll get everybody out of here so you can enjoy the rest of your day. This is the odds for the championship to win the college football playoff. Texas, not shocked, being the preseason ranked number one. They're right there. Georgia, Ohio State, Penn State with the three best odds. I'm not really shocked by the top four. The one that is shocking, I can't believe Oregon and LSU and Notre Dame are where they're at. Notre Dame 1,500, LSU 1,400. I don't know. I mean, Notre Dame makes it to the Natty last year with a very limited quarterback. Some people will get upset about that, but a very limited quarterback. They make it to the Natty and lose to Ohio State. So I'm going to be following the championship odds all the way through the season, just tracking that to see how that goes. I'm really shocked that Florida and Michigan have the same odds because of the schedule differences. If you pull up Michigan's schedule and look at Florida's schedule, they're two different things. To be honest with you, Texas A&M right there too. Miami at 3,300. There's a lot of chatter around Miami. Can Mario Cristobal get out of his own way? That's the big thing that I'm looking at as far as when it comes to Miami, to be honest. Ole Miss plus 4,000, Auburn 5,500, same odds as Oklahoma. This is just my personal opinion. I think I've gave it a couple of times. Auburn and Oklahoma are kind of in the same boat. Some people aren't going to agree with this, but it's kind of college football. It's college football playoffs or bust, I think, for both programs, because I don't know if Venables will survive another 6-6, to be honest. USC 6,500. I've seen and heard some stuff that USC is going to be drastically improved on the defensive side of the ball. I would like to see that before I believe it, to be honest with everybody. That's just what I'm looking at as far as the college football playoff odds. You have Arizona State all the way down there, Texas Tech. Those are some interesting schools. I'm really shocked that Utah and Kansas State snuck onto this. Same thing with Louisville. We got to see what Jeff Brom's going to be with Miller Moss. I think that's a very interesting dynamic. And how much did SMU improve this offseason? Because, like I told everybody last year at the end of the year, they caved in. They got caved in by Penn State. Penn State ran all over them. That was the big thing that I was looking at when it came to SMU. Um, Also on that list, South Carolina. I've seen some people that are super down on South Carolina, but I think that that's just one of the things that you got to look at as far as can South Carolina finally get over the hump. I know Spurrier was there for years and he never got there after he came back from the NFL. Tennessee at plus 7,000. That's wildly, I almost think high. If I was ranking this, I would be putting Tennessee, USC, Texas Tech, Arizona, Kansas State all at that plus 10,000, to be honest. And I would bump Miami back. I would actually bump Michigan forward because, not to get back on the Michigan train, but I feel like something like this outcome rallies a team. It pulls them together, kind of like the year when they were suspending Harbaugh and Michigan pulled together at the end of the season and went on that dynamic playoff run. I mean, they beat Nick Saban in Alabama, and then they go out there and beat DeBoer at Washington. So I think that's something. I would also bump LSU down, and I would bump Clemson up. I think Clemson will be better than what people think. As far as Texas having the plus 550 odds, I'm not shocked by that just because they're the preseason number one. Um, so I think Ole Miss is going to be a very interesting case study this year. Um, while I'm looking at it, I think Ole Miss is very interesting. Breaking in a new quarterback, Austin Simmons. I think that it's something to be said there. I think the Rebs have. I think they have a puncher's chance. I know people are going to scoff at it, but I think Ole Miss has a puncher's chance. I think they can get in there and make some noise this year, in my opinion. And I think Clemson's another school that can make some noise. I'm not going to say I'm down on Oregon, but I'm going to be, if it's buy, sell short, or go to Reddit. I think I'm not selling Oregon. I think I'm going to hold Oregon to see what they look like coming up. Notre Dame, I'm buying. I guess I can go through the whole list. Texas, sell. Texas is a sell for me. I'm not buying it. I think I'm going to hold Georgia, hold Ohio State. I'm selling Penn State. No faith in Franklin. I'm until he proves me wrong. If James Franklin goes out there and wins the national championship with Drew Aller, I will go out and buy some Penn State gear and it'll get added to the rotation just because Jimmy won the national championship. Alabama, I'm buying major stock in Alabama. I know got a Georgia hat on and Georgia hoodie, but some people are going to be, what? That don't make no sense. Yeah, I'm buying stock, a lot of stock in Alabama. I'm buying a lot of stock in Clemson. I'm going to sell LSU. Selling LSU. Sorry. I think Nussmeier's a great player, but it's the whole Brian Kelly thing for me. Miami, I think I'm going to hold Miami to see what they look like against Notre Dame. And that's kind of where I'm at. And like I said at the beginning, I'm going to buy stock in Michigan. That's who I'd buy stock in. Because I get it, they have a freshman quarterback, but if you look at their schedule, and if they beat Ohio State for the 5th year in a row, the folks in Columbus are going to be ready to tear that down. Florida, I'm going to buying the Gators, even though they have a tough schedule. I think if Florida ends up at 8-4 or 9-3, I think that's a total win for Billy Napier. Mike Elko and the Aggies, I'm going to hold. Not doing nothing with them. Same thing with Ole Miss. Auburn will be very interesting. I think Auburn's a hold for me as well because I want to see what they look like against Baylor. I get it. There's all kinds of practice stuff out there. Oklahoma's a hold. I'm selling USC. I'm selling Tennessee. And I think I'd hold South Carolina as well. SMU, SMU's a tough case study. Got to see what they look like. So it would be a hold on SMU. I think I want to buy a little bit of Louisville just because they have Miller Moss and Jeff Brom. So Utah, after what I've seen last year of Utah, I think I just got to see them. Utah's a hold. I'm not saying sell them, but they're a hold. Kansas State, we're going to know in 7 days what Kansas State is against Iowa State, playing Farmageddon in Ireland, which is very bizarre. I can't believe the Big 12 agreed to sell a home game like that, but I guess the ACC did it last year. Wait until Fox gets the rights to an Ireland game. You're going to have the Buckeyes, or, well, Michigan's going to be in Germany. So don't worry. Whenever they get the chance to ship Ohio State overseas, they will. Arizona State, I think it's going to be a wait and see, a hold on Arizona State, and I'm selling Texas Tech. Sorry. I'm selling Texas Tech. I get it. They spent a ton of money in the transfer portal, but I am on the opinion of Texas Tech will do Texas Tech things. Will they make the college football playoff? No, I think the Big 12 only gets one. I think the ACC gets two. Now, as far as G5, I'm going to go back out on a limb, and on the group of 5 team that I think that will be the college football playoff representative, I'm going to go Tulane again. Tulane or Memphis. I think Boise scheduling that Notre Dame game was not a good move for them. I get it. They need the strength of schedule, but going to Notre Dame Stadium, I get it. They almost won on the road last year at Oregon, but we kind of know how that picture played out, and they got kind of dominated a little bit against Penn State, and Genty couldn't really do anything. So I guess we'll see what Boise State looks like on offense. They'll probably be undefeated, and they're already ranked. The big thing with Boise State is that they start a leg up on everybody that's in the group of 5 level, just for the simple fact that they're ranked. I don't see how they don't win the Mountain West. That's just my opinion. I'm not seeing it, but my biggest takeaway from looking at this, I'm not going to rule out 100% on Oregon just yet, but I got to see them. They peaked too soon last year. They were peaking and coming down when it came to the Big Ten championship game. And I also, one thing that if I was king for a day, what I would do is I would totally get rid of the buys. I don't think it helps people per se, because every team that got a bye last year lost. Also, the conference championship games, James Franklin said that stupid shit about Notre Dame, how they were, well, they didn't join a conference. Well, sorry, Jimmy. Not everybody goes on the road at Minnesota and struggles, although Minnesota beat USC at home last year. But you played in a conference championship game, and then you played SMU and Boise State. Notre Dame played Indiana, Georgia, and then they played Penn State. So I don't know. I don't get it. And also on that end of it, when it comes to James Franklin, why does Notre Dame need to join the Big Ten to play at noon? I mean, I get it. It's another big brand that Fox would cycle in at noon. I'm going to stand on this. I think that if Notre Dame joins any conference, it would be the SEC. It's the most money. And it's the most Notre Dame fit. And Notre Dame keeps scheduling SEC opponents. So, I mean, it would be a gigantic blow to the ACC, which I think the ACC's fried, died, and laid to the side. So, at that point, just flip them over at that juncture. But that is kind of where I'm at on the whole thing, that's where I'm at. You can agree, disagree. I'd be interested to see your guys' comments, what you guys think. Um, just with that, we'll be back tonight, 6:50 start. Me and Richie. I don't know if Richie will join right away, but he's going to join well after the kick, and we will be talking on Steel City, Steelers, Buccaneers tonight. Don't forget week 1. We'll probably, with it being the way it is, week 1 will probably go up at about Eastern time, 11:50. I'll probably start the stream then, and then we'll go so on so forth throughout the games. But I'm just telling you now, the UNLV Idaho State game is a snoozer. We'll probably dip at halftime if it's like 28-0, because there's nothing to really be gained there. And then we might try again on and have a compelling game with Stanford, Hawaii. I believe Hawaii's like a 1.5-point favorite, and Stanford fired their coach. So we'll see. But with that being said, if you could do me a huge favor, it's better than money. Hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this thing. I appreciate everybody tuning in on a super early Saturday morning. We'll have a lot of content on Saturdays that we'll have for you. So, with that being said, hit that like and subscribe button. Help us grow this thing. And I'll see you guys tonight if you choose to tune in.